We were talking, and we were like, "Oh, I guess we should probably go live."
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were supposed to do a show tonight, right?
Yeah.
Completely forgot about that. I was messing around in my head.
Well, everybody, happy episode 68. I can't believe we've made it this far.
You're lucky that it reads that up on top, so this is what you remember.
I got a hashtag. I'm going to start off strong with a hashtag.
All right.
Ooh, here we go. Rolling out the big guns. The big guns for the canon episode.
I spelled it right, too. There we go.
Are we sure?
Can't believe we made it this far.
There you go.
Well,
I mean, next week's supposed to be the really fun one, right? That's episode 69. Whoa!
Oh, what does that mean? I never understand what people mean when they get a kick out of that.
Oh, Kelly.
Look it up.
Joking.
There you can find it somewhere.
I don't want to look anything up. All right, so
Fear the Google as you should.
Yeah, right.
what do you think? How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm doing all right.
And you?
How you doing? Pancakes?
Pancakes.
Well, I prefer waffles. Thank you very much.
I called you pancakes.
Crepes, is that?
Yeah. Okay.
So in there,
So
pancakes.
does that make me? I guess French toast. We got pancakes, waffles, crepes, French toast.
Adam is crepes.
He's the
Did
one
you
that
say
said
that you
it.
prefer crepes?
He said
He
it.
just said it. Okay, all right. I
Yeah.
missed that. I
He
was just
said
like,
crepes.
Oz is calling them crepes. All right.
What's that
I
mean,
like crepes
Sean?
too.
Did we run
I
out
like
of
crepes
them?
too.
Is it Sean a scone then, or scone? Depending.
Well, he said he's gonna.
Sean the Scone.
Sean the Scone. He's gonna be here tonight, so we can ask him when he gets here.
Oh,
Yes. It's always great when
Just
cool Uncle
sent me a
Sean
message
swings
saying
by.
he'd be here.
that's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's
I'm
going to be here because I have nothing to say today.
Ah, come
Head
on. You have no
cannon.
head cannon? Bobby has no head cannon. It's all
don't-
just
nothing's
straight
in my head.
vintage comic books and the vintage comics and then filmation. Anything outside of that doesn't exist.
That's
I have
right.
a feeling Bobby's like me in that someone else put so much work into it. Let him have the canon. Let them have it. Like they figured it out already. That's good.
Let them have
But I
the
use-
cannons.
I got some ideas.
Yeah,
But I'm
definitely.
excited.
It's hard
Okay.
not to.
All right.
Shall we run through the comments? There's a lot of people in the chat already.
I was gonna say, I was gonna
let's
let
do
it
it.
build up some, but if I let it build up anymore, I think it's gonna get completely away from us here. Chat is really hopping already.
Well, they're all waiting to get their name announced so they can leave. So that's
Oh, okay, that's how it
Oh.
works. Got it. All right, now I get it. Well, in that case, I'll make
Wait a
them sit
minute,
and
I
wait a
never
little bit
even-
longer.
That never even crossed my mind. Is that what you're all doing? All right, Sean.
Sean.
How's it
All right,
going?
Sean
Hello,
is
gentlemen.
here. Yes.
Sean the Scone.
Sean the
Uh,
Scone.
game
Sean doesn't
on.
have any idea. Well, how did that happen? All right, so we're all breakfast foods today, apparently. So we named you Sean the Scone. Scone. Sean the Scone.
I don't
Sean the
know.
Scone.
British
I've never
pronunciation.
had a scone in my entire life.
No.
Either.
See,
Oh, what's Oz?
so Skelly is pancakes because Bobby called him pancakes. So
That's how it
Bobby
started.
is now waffles because Kelly loves waffles.
That's
And
right.
then
Oh, Skelly loves me. Thank you.
I do.
Then Adam
I do.
brought up crepes, and I was feeling left out, so I just said, "Fucking, I'm French toast." And then you became scones because we were running out of shit. So
Scone Varna, it works.
there we go.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it.
New hashtag.
Yes.
Oh my
Hashtag
God.
Scone Varna.
Scone
That's
Varna.
a
$5 will
Love
get you
it.
coffee at Starbucks, though. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my gosh! So if let's say here, if Four Horsemen ever get the rights to create their version of Food Fighters, then there has to be a Scon Varna, a Sean Scone Varna action
Sean Stone
figure.
Varna.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already claiming that there are, the Skavarniacs out there, and that means there's Skavarmania, which is certainly surrounding the new figure that's on the way. And Sean's just going to show in and start ripping his shirt off, See, there it goes.
At least I'm on brand.
I was going to say
That's my
lovely
favorite. I think that's my favorite T-shirt that you have.
It's a gorgeous one.
I love this one. I was surprised how much it made me happy to get it when I got it.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, apparently Bud's in on the breakfast foods, and he is a fried egg.
Aww.
He says
Bud,
he's
I
not
hope you
feeling
feel better
so good. He's
soon.
got a nasty cold. Yeah. Little crotch goblins getting everybody sick.
What?
Crotch goblins,
Kids.
Kids these days.
All right, let's start from the top here. We have Eternity Lips hanging out with us, Master Versal Toy Hunter, the Eldor himself, Onryu hanging out, and Thanos Copter. Ronald Embry is here.
Ronald.
And officially, we are a Toy Tube channel now. Nolan is here. And JMax77 hanging out saying, Sup, Toy Frenzy friends. Good to see everybody. Absolutely a pleasure to see you, brother. Thank you for making it, JMax. All right. We have Ray Black with us as well. And Cobweb joining in. Doing great. Right. We got Skelevator hanging out. Just
all right. Hey, Skelly, good to see you.
Dropping hashtags like it's nobody business. Ace is here with us, joining in. You didn't miss much, Ace. By that point in time, we hadn't said too much other than we developed what, friggin' breakfast food we were.
We're still developing.
Still developing. That's right.
We were late anyway.
We're almost
late.
Perfect. I was just doing my hair. So, yep, the cringiest name in all of Toy Tube. Speaking moistly. Following along with the strong start of the hashtag, we got Battle Ram Blog Adam with the "We are gonna make it after all" hashtag.
Somehow,
and that's true.
Some way.
All right. So Thanos has jumped in saying, "Shelf canon. Marlena was on a mission to rescue John Blackstar."
Oh, that's cool.
I'm starring that. We got to revisit that. I know.
Yeah.
All right. That's it
in the chat, but we are hitting that one again.
That's it. We can end the episode there. That's the best canon I can think
I'm
of.
just saying that's a heavy hitter to start with. Damn, I should have stayed.
And I don't like crossovers at all, but that's cool.
That's a damn good one.
It makes sense,
right?
Yeah, it does.
Might as well throw in the Filmation Flash Gordon in there too.
Hey, why not? We could work it in there. We could definitely work it in there. We've got, figuratively speaking, John in the house. He just turned 21 this week, folks. I don't know if you know that, but big happy birthday to you, John. Turning 21.
Go get a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
I'm jealous.
That's right.
I remember.
We're gonna have to revisit this McDonald's topic in a minute here because they announced something pretty cool this week that I think most of us are pretty excited for.
Really?
Eric Perryman is
really?
Yeah.
I don't keep up on anything anymore. No. I'm in my own world now.
That's all right. You're keeping on the Decker Northcutt case files.
That's true. He's focused. He's hyper focused, and it's great because he's putting out some great stories each and every week.
Thank you, man.
And I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. Keep it up. So again, big shout out here to Eric Perryman. And we got Pop Star Ricky hanging out here with us. Good to see you, brother. And let's see. Again, we'll revisit as Bud has announced himself here. He's feeling a little bit like a fried egg. And we have Mike Fee, Master Mike's Universe, hanging out with us tonight. Good to see you, Mike. Glad you can make it, brother.
All right, Mike. Good to see you.
Go check out his YouTube channel and hit subscribe if you're not already there. Surprised at the lack of breakfast food name storming. I could eat breakfast foods all day, literally all day. I gotta agree. Breakfast foods are some of my most favorite foods. Like I definitely will eat those at any point in time of day, and they're very versatile too. I love breakfast food.
I'm going to just talk a little bit about International House of Pancakes. So International House of Pancakes for me is a huge disappointment because there's nothing international about it. And when I was fresh out of high school, I had this idea to do it like a breakfast house where you get breakfast from any country, like a real traditional breakfast from any country at this place. It would be open 24 hours. And that took me forever to visit International House of Pancakes for the first time. And when I finally went, I was pretty disappointed. There's my tirade on International House of Pancakes.
It's valid.
It should just be
very valid.
National House of Pancakes.
Yeah, we had a great place in Chicago. It was right down the street from my house, and we'd walk down there. It was called the Lion's Den, and that was a good place to eat breakfast.
Nice. That sounds amazing just by the name of it.
Right? Lion's Den? I mean, that's a badass place to eat breakfast.
Yep.
Yes.
It's right there on Ewing Avenue, 105th.
Nice.
All right. Road trip.
Well, I don't know if it's still there. I mean,
well, we're about to find the out.
It could be there. Who knows?
If it ain't there, we'll do something.
We'll do something else.
Yeah, right. Oh, just go down the street and eat at Harmony's Hamburgers. So there you go.
That's right. We'll find an International House of Pancakes.
So we had people storm in with hashtags earlier, making a very, very strong start. Had people coming in feeling like fried eggs earlier, but nobody's come in as hard as Skyfall. Jumping right in with the super chat.
Thank you.
That's
chat. Great.
Absolutely amazing, Skyfall. There we go. And although it cannot be seen when we bring it up here, I did pull it up on YouTube just to see what the super sticker was for you, Skelly. And it's like this little blue pear thing with like a noisemaker bone and like a party hat. I have no idea, but it's pretty goofy looking. So I like it.
Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
I'll go back and check.
Yeah, Skelly like that. He likes the weird stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. The weirder, the better. All right. And Allison Troy has joined in saying, Allison. Greetings all. She actually recently just received the Cabal Creations coloring book that showed up. Nice. So for any fans of Mythic Legions that enjoy coloring, Allison will now have Mythic Legions coloring on our channel. I know we are supposed to be doing some coloring December 31st with that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I love that she does that. It's so cool.
It's amazing, and it's extremely relaxing to watch, too.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, her choice of music on shorts is, like, dead on. her and Brick both, like, knock it out of the park with their music choices each time.
Yeah.
Of course, then I got schooled by somebody. Brick chose Crazy Train for one of the ones that he showed up, and I commented on there. I was like, man, you know, this singer, he's something else. Yeah, it's Ozzy Osbourne.
He's gonna go someplace.
This singer, he's really something. I'm really digging this. You know,
he could get
famous. Oz. I may know who the guy is, and somebody felt the need to correct me and say that's Ozzy Osbourne, man. Yeah, no shit.
That's hilarious.
I saw where he pissed on the Alamo because there was a guy standing there pointing at it, saying, "This is where Ozzy pissed on the Alamo." I know who Ozzy is. Unreal.
Is it really?
It's really pricey now.
Yeah, breakfasts are more expensive nowadays.
They seem to be. Well, the cost of eggs went up, so
yeah. Not just that, but I mean, just it's like $30 for pancakes. It's just crazy,
right? Yeah, it used to be like $1. You get a stack.
Yeah, go to Denny's for $4.99. You get a whole meal.
Yeah, man, endless pancakes.
Yeah,
nuts.
Surf and turf instead, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, for that price, definitely.
Yeah.
Ray Black's mentioned it. Hit that like button, folks. Look, I'm looking at it right now. We've got 22 people watching. We have 12 likes hit. That number should be flipped, folks. So make sure you smack that like button.
Hit it.
Nah, you don't have to. If you don't like it, then you don't have to hit the like button.
Look, man, that like button has been talking shit all week about your mom.
Tease it.
Adam,
tickle the like button.
Tap it. Just give it a little tap.
Yeah.
Pat it on the button. Say good game.
Like checking to see if the dog's dead. Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, poke it with a stick.
Boop.
Poke it with a stick.
Oh,
And
man.
Aaron, Payne's Toy Samples jumping in saying, hey to
All right,
everybody. Good to
Aaron.
have you here. And I think that is about it. That should have gotten
There is
us
a
caught up
thumbs
with
down.
everybody.
Yeah, don't use that. That
That's
always
for
breaks my
people-
heart for some reason.
People who hate breakfast food.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing, though, right, about that thumbs down. It really doesn't. I mean, aside from the fact that we see somebody thumbs down the video in our analytics, it actually serves the same exact purpose as the like button. They don't gauge them any differently anymore. The like button and the dislike button both count as interaction and engagement, which increases the notice in the algorithm. So whether it's disliked or liked, it still has the same overall effect. That's something they changed a while ago because they did try to take it away and then they brought it back. I don't know. Either way, it's still getting you engaged.
That made my night, my friend. Now I'm not going to feel bad about it anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about it.
You shouldn't feel bad anyway. Look, seriously, only losers dislike videos. They could just move on. The fact that they had to put effort into disliking the video means that, you know, they just like watching your shit.
No, Rick, we cannot see who does the thumbs down.
No.
It's something they took away from everybody after they brought the dislike button back.
Yeah.
That was ages ago, though. It was a really long time.
Oh, you were able to see who did it, huh?
Way back
before my time.
Used to be able to.
Yeah, right.
Before my time.
That way you can plot your revenge.
Yeah, right. Start looking these people up and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Every video they put out, dislike.
Get my switchblade out.
Hey, you know what? I always have one within hand's reach. Just saying.
I know. I have it in the drawer. I forgot I had it, and then you just remind me I have it in there. So,
is this ASMR?
No, I can't hear that.
No, you can't hear it.
Can you hear mine?
No. Wait, can you hear mine?
We're trying ASMR content, people. Do you like us now?
How's this?
Just get an action figure and like tap
How's
it.
this?
Now Skelly's gonna have like 1,000 dislikes. Like, this is the dumbest crap I've ever watched.
I told you we ran through the chat. We lost 6 viewers.
We have. It's true.
I told
it's
you.
True. They're already
Come
gone.
and say hi, and then
that was it.
We said the name, and now they dropped out. They're done for the night. See y'all, folks. See you later.
Dislike. Thank you, Skyfall.
Yeah.
Look, see, this news makes me feel more empowered and less guilty to dislike bad videos.
There you go.
Yeah, in the end, you're still helping them out in a way, but you know, at least you let them know you did not like.
And really, Toy Frenzy is all about helping you feel empowered.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It's true. You should. And Duchess of Darkness has shown up this evening. Good to see you here, Duchess. Thank you. And guys, if you have not watched it yet, go back and watch last night's Wicked Wednesday. Make sure that you watch it and give it a thumbs up.
Yep.
Exactly.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
that was my house. I know what happened.
It's just a kid falling down the steps, you know, no biggie.
The washing machine is just like, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. Bam. I'm like, yeah, it's that time.
The washing machine took the load out and went like that.
Yeah.
Mr.
I
Mom.
gotta clean that up later. That's the best part.
Yay. Yeah.
Here's a little side note. In the old Disney cartoons, when there was snow, usually Donald, right, or Mickey, I guess, when they would shovel the snow, the sound of the snow plopping like that, I used to love that. I still, to this day, love that sound of the snow going. don't know.
Me too. It's a good sound.
It's a great sound. So that's what you got going on over there, Sean?
I like going out.
The washing machine is just sick of us because we have to use it almost daily with the amount of clothes for the kids, my wife, me. And it's every time it goes through the spin cycle, it's just boom now. And I'm like, okay, shut up.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know if
We've
it
been
would
there.
pick up on the air tonight. So yeah, now I know.
So that's one. Everybody listen, if you hear it again,
then it's a kid.
And then it's a kid falling down the steps.
It's actually
It
his
might be a
Castle Grayskull.
and then you hear
It's
it.
a washing machine.
Yeah.
So,
oh man, a Castle Grayskull washing machine would be amazing.
Something cool I did want to show Sean. Well, I guess we should get to that portion of this where we talk about what we're excited about. We've just been
Sure,
so
let's just
excited
do what
to
you
hear it.
want to do, Oz.
Yeah. You know what? We will do what I want to do.
Oz is the boss.
Am I? Oh shit.
Boss Oz.
We're all screwed.
Just call him Boz.
Oh, well, here we go.
Oh, there we go. Here it starts.
Nope. No, that's why if he was here, that wouldn't be the problem. So
He's
it
very
is
low.
what it is at the moment.
Well, in talking about, what we're excited about. Okay, so I had a special gift come in this past week, and if anybody watched the Saturday night stream, they would know what that is. But Sean, this showed up, and I got really excited for it. So Aaron doesn't like skeletons,
Aha.
but
Nice.
I've got the Waltor the Mad Mythic Legions skeleton half. And of course,
awesome.
with that, although I didn't get an actual Cabal shirt while at Mythic Legions, I do have a Cabal t-shirt for my toys.
That's so great.
I
It's
actually
pretty.
want to put that on my Barbarian, one of them. I don't know which one. They're shirtless all the time. Might as well put something on, dude.
Well, now that we've seen some in snow, they might need a little bit more on.
Exactly.
That looks like it'll be a nice tight t-shirt on a vintage He-Man.
Yeah.
It would be. So he also sent over, there was from the new Snow Serpent and Classified, it has like this little wolf headdress and a little wolf cape. So I went ahead and actually put that. Thank you guys. I was putting it on different head sculpts, and it fits really good on a Mythic Legion skull.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a undead Dark Wolf.
Right?
Yeah,
It looks really good. So I was really excited for that because I didn't expect to get this. I know I talked with Terrence about possibly picking up one of his extras, but to get that figure definitely meant a lot to me because, it was one of those ones that I wanted while going to Legion's Con. And since I missed, I just slimmed down my pickings. And Sean, thank you. I know you've got the Vorgus helping out with that.
Sorry,
So now
Pickens.
I've got the Waltor
Slim
too.
Pickens.
Slim Pickens.
Love him. Now, I got to compliment Four Horsemen because they have given us the Deadites that we needed.
Yeah.
Right?
Army of Darkness Deadites, Four Horsemen are basically making them. There's one in each wave, right? Or maybe two in each wave? A skeleton figure? I'm asking the experts. I'm asking the
Oh,
experts.
yeah.
Depends on the wave.
Okay.
They don't do them every time because like the most recent wave there is Scapular is a skeleton technically, but he's not quite decked out the same way. The Necronominus wave that was last year is where you're really getting a lot of that stuff. That stuff should be coming in probably, I'd say, first or second quarter ish. Probably second quarter, I'm guessing, of next year.
Well, yeah, because Poxus is supposed to be hitting.
Yeah,
Poxus
is even before that one, and that hasn't come out yet. So
yeah, they make great skeletons. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm ready. I've got all little skeleton goodness across the top here. Lots of skeletons. I got Malice. Oh man, got Mandibular. So many skeletons all around me right now. It's beautiful.
Skeletons in the closet.
So they fell out. The closet ran out of room for all my skeletons, so now they're just everywhere.
They're out of the closet now. Your skeletons.
They are on the assault.
That's great. I love them. I got a big candle here. It's a skeleton. It's a skull from Target.
Ooh, let's see that.
Nice. That's cool.
Also wanted to promote the fact I've had the comments sitting up here a while now. Aaron says he has bought some fur samples and a small sewing machine, and he's going to start making cloth good shawls. Oh, sorry, Skelly, I was just putting you down. You did it too. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome, Aaron.
And
here's what you do, Aaron. Make one for like the Origins Man at Arms to do like in the first mini comic where you had the fur cape,
the fur and everything with it. Yes. Yep. Yeah, because you know what? Like, forget that Lords of Power armor and then the Serpent Claw armor where he's got the plastic fur around it.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me the fur and I'll put the armor over top of it and it'll look damn good.
That's awesome.
Joe G in the house. Gonzalez hanging out with us. Good to see you, brother. As a matter of fact, he's supposed to be coming on was that Off Worlds tomorrow night with you guys, right? Or are we just putting more random faces on people who may or may not be there?
Well, that was last week's, and then we had to issue the statement of not everybody picture will be on the episode. So then we got a lot of dislikes on that one. But no, Joe will be on tomorrow night. So that will get a lot of likes because Joe is one of those people that just he brings the likes. He brings the good stuff.
Well, what's everybody else excited about?
Oh yeah, that's it. No, I'm not going to go yet. Adam, Sean, Bobby.
I got one.
Ooh.
So I been wanting this for a while.
Nice.
That
was two classics.
One. Yeah.
Antenna. Yeah, he's an excellent figure. He's probably the best of the horde in this series.
He's one of my all-time favorite classics, period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they went all out on him.
As they should have. That is beautiful.
That is. I like it.
Really? Where'd you end up finding him at? Just online, or was he in a local store?
No, just on eBay. Decent-ish price. So.
Are the prices getting a little bit better with classics, do you think?
A little bit, yeah. I think because the market's kind of saturated now with tons of different styles. And a lot of people are doing Masterverse, so I think that's taking some of the pressure off on classics. At least for most of them.
It definitely has. There's been a lot of figures that I've seen drop in price since Masterverse started hitting. And it's funny because it's not exactly something that's comparable to what Masterverse is putting out. They've just started dropping prices on certain ones.
Yeah. I haven't checked prices in a long time, so I don't know.
I just started getting back into it in the last week or two because I just got to this point where I had to let enough of them go to help the family out that I'm like, there's some that I really, really hate that I let go of, even though I knew the reason I would let go of some of them was, okay, I know dollar-wise I'm going to get a decent amount.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do that, but I did because it was just what had to be done. And the one that really hurt when I looked it up was the Skelcon, because I had two of those at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up getting one this past week, and it was still pretty pricey. It was one of the lowest ones I could find, though. It's like all of them are like 150 to 225 now, and I'm like, oh my god! Like I'd rather just get the Roton with that instead of just a single figure, and then at least you got some more bang for your buck. But
well, a lot of that is just in what you feel is reasonable for it.
True. Yeah.
So like, if it really means something to you and you're willing to pay that price, you're gonna get it. Bobby's mantra entirely. Like if you want it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, buy it, pay what you think it's worth to you. So
as long as you enjoy it in the end, that's the important thing. As long as it makes you happy, you enjoy it. We'll all have that little minimal regret, like, man, I really spent that money on that thing, and then you're like, yeah, but it looks fucking cool.
I did that with Fisto for classics. I found one. It was still pricey because that one's he was up to $250 at one point.
Yeah.
I was at $300,
Yeah.
and I found
Especially if you get that
one.
complete.
Yeah, and I had one where somebody had done some customizing on them, and I'm like, if I would have known you before you did this, I would have smacked you in the head going, why are you customizing Fisto of all figures? Like, get a different figure and just customize it or whatever. But when I got that one, the minute I held that one in hand, even though I paid a decent amount, I'm like, worth it, because I love the character and the figure is just that good in classics. So,
I agree. I love the fact that like he came with like that more vintage regular style sword.
Yep.
And then they just give him like the huge honking like Final Fantasy VII style
2000X sword.
Yeah.
Like
huge. And I like he was another one where you got the 2000X head and the regular head and the 2000X belt, but the regular. But so it's like there was so many mix and matches you could do with that figure. So it's like, all right, it is what it is. But no, I agree with Joe here about his personal motto is don't wait, it's only going to get worse. That's what I thought with Fisto and a few other, like Scareglow was another one when I went after him. I was what's the lowest I can get and then make sure everything's there. Okay, I'll do it this time, and and I have yet to regret that either. So
Well, Bobby, what about you?
I don't have anything that I'm excited about within this period of time.
There's got to be something that's got you excited.
No, I mean, I really haven't. Nothing I really need or get right now. So
I like it.
Nothing coming up with the holidays. I mean, this just doesn't have to be about collecting, man. It's just pure.
Oh yeah, the holidays. There you go.
There it is. There it is. I've had to drag it out of me. So fucking excited.
Yeah.
Bobby's excited about. I have a question for you. I did see a new character from the NECA Dungeons and Dragons line show up at a Target the other day.
Oh yeah.
I don't know which one it is, but he looks like a hero. And I didn't recognize him. I should have taken a picture, but I was in a hurry.
Is it Lionheart, Proudheart? We were just doing the same thing this weekend, trying to remember. Strongheart. That's
Strongheart.
Yeah.
I think it's Strongheart.
He looks like a valiant kind of knight kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only him and then Zaran that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you collecting those two? You gonna get those two?
No, I did have them on pre-order like earlier in the year, but I stopped all pre-orders and everything because like I said, I'm retired from collecting toys. So I'm not.
How about the Masterverse Trapjaw?
I did not order. I canceled that pre-order as well.
You did.
Yes.
You're the one who convinced me to put in my pre-order, and I haven't canceled mine yet.
Well, I mean, if you want it, you want the figure, you know.
That's true. He looked
because I was actually at Target over the weekend, and I saw a slush head there. I grabbed it, looked at it, put it back. It's like I had no like pull to get it. I just picked it up, looked at it. It's like it's cool, and I just put it back. It's just weird. I just don't have that feeling anymore.
Yeah, and that's okay.
If I was collecting, I'd be like, I'd grab it, you know, and I would have had it by now. But
you'd feel pressure to grab it, though, right? Like you feel this anxiety in a way that, like, you need to have it.
Exactly. Yep.
Fortunately, like I've gotten to a point with a lot of the Masters of the Universe stuff that I kind of feel like that. Like even today, one of the big figures that I wanted, just recently, people started getting their notices that from BBTS that stuff was showing up. Well, when that happened, I got an email from BBTS, and I was like, wait a minute, I canceled everything I had at BBTS. I did that earlier this year. I had apparently one more pre-order I forgot to cancel, and that was that King Randor fan favorites. It was only $20, but I don't want it coming up, and now, you know, now is the time where I'm getting presents for other people. Mm-hmm. So there is no spending money on myself.
Yeah.
You know, I did enough of that earlier. The last thing that I was getting for myself for this year, I've already paid off. It's on its way, and that's good. Just 2 things that I really, really wanted real bad. So that's on its way. Something else I'm excited for. Finally going to get my retail exclusive Headless Horseman and Father Christmas on the way.
Cool.
Final.
I was tempted by that Headless Horseman. That was just
It's a
amazing
good
figure.
looking figure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And it's glow in the dark.
yeah.
Although some would say
I'll
it's
tell
not as glow in the dark as they like. It's pretty good.
I felt like Sean was going to come down with a thing from his shelf.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
All right.
Oh, there you go.
As I was going to say, Sean already got me started with that figure last year.
Well, so like my life has been to the point where I'll have stuff and I don't even take the time to enjoy it. I'll just have it sitting off to the side. It's unopened, whatever. And before Legions Con hit, I ended up with this in the mail, and I didn't have time until this week to do anything about it. But since you're talking about it,
there he is.
This is the retailer version that you're talking about, and there is the flaming pumpkin head, which is great.
You know, that's great that you got that, because for comparison here, hold on a sec, let me open up my parts bin. So I've got the original stuff right here, and since you have that version, you can just kind of show off, because, you know, it's funny, I've seen a lot of people who have done the video showing off the new one. Not a lot of those people actually had the original one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those glowing green eyes.
Yeah.
So here is well,
and the glowing green hooves too.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I still have yet to get it in the dark, but it's funny because my daughter actually around Halloween, her class did the play for the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and she ended up being what's the girl's name? Katrina. She got to play her, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, remember that toy you have downstairs?" I'm like, "Yeah." And now it's like, "Oh, Dad's cool because I was ahead of the curve and got this thing." So
here's the original one with the yellow and the orange, the red flames, and so that'll be cool. I should finally be getting these in soon, and me and the guys on the clubhouse, we were talking about doing a group unboxing, and I appreciate their patience and toy edging. I know how difficult that can be, so I appreciate that. But we're going to unbox together, as part of it is a tradition. I know Brick something, he already opened his, but he and we unboxed our original Headless Horsemans together, and that was his debut on the channel. So unboxing this great, amazing toy with friends is probably one of the coolest things ever, I will say.
Yeah, I mean it's a great figure. I love that. I have both of them, and I know that's how I got you into it down the rabbit hole on Mythic Legions. But
it is
that was another one where money was tight, so I had to sell the ones that I had. But then I ended up being in a trivia contest for the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me podcast last year at Legions Con. And one of the prizes that I got right from the hands of Cornboy was the original Horseman. And so I've always kept that in the box. I haven't let it go or anything. But now that I opened this one, I'm actually like, maybe I will open that one up, and then I can actually do a different head on the Horseman to do something else. And then I have a new character to add to the mix on top of that. Because I think the glow in the dark one will be the default. Just because how cool is that,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really, really great, unique figure. I really dig it.
I was listening to an interview, like an old interview when they were just about to launch Mythic Legions, and it was either Eric or Cornboy. They were saying like they were planning on doing like 3 3/4 scale at the time, and then they must have bumped it up.
If I remember right, they were thinking of going that route, and then they found out that the cost difference wasn't that great to do a 6-inch line instead. So they just went that way because everybody else was going that way with their lines. And I'm sure shelf space wise, 3 3/4 would have been a lot more easy to keep track of. But I don't think the collectors would have been that thrilled with it once you see what they did with 6-inch and you see all those details and the paint apps and everything.
That's what really makes it like, because I don't think you could get that kind of detail that we're getting now with the 6-inch figures that that would be lost on such a small figure, those minute paint details. So I'm glad they went the way they did.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be cool.
On this figure in particular, you got all the rivets here, and every single one is painted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at that, and it adds a little something to that figure that if it was a 3 3/4, it would probably just be black or dark gray or whatever.
Even the buckles on his gloves down to the little tiny rivets on his belts, even. It's all painted detail.
All painted detail there. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's funny how much all the detail and all of the artistry that they put into that, it like reawakens how much your childhood meant to you. And you're like, it's almost like your second childhood to go, I can appreciate this as both art and something awesome to mess around with. And I, like imagining when you were a kid, what you loved and the stuff that you went to and were drawn to because of the creativity or the way it looked. Like I was into Mask because of the details. Right? Freaking Goodyear on the tire and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like little minute things like that. And I love that we still haven't, it's still something in toy design to this day. Like people will keep adding these little details that they're really awesome to find. So
I agree. Yeah. Well, Skelly, I think you've edged on your excitement enough. What are you so friggin' excited about?
Well, a very good friend of mine, Adam, sold me this.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Discs of Doom Skeletor.
That was my New Adventures of He-Man Skeletor, the Discs of Doom.
I love it so much.
Oh, I should warn you, Skelly. The flaps do have a tendency to wear off if you do them too much. So I
leave it open.
Yeah,
I leave it open.
It's Zombie Skeletor.
Yeah, I love this so much.
Mecha tiny ho, you bub.
I mean, you can't. It doesn't get weirder than than this design. I mean, I guess there have been weirder ones, but I love this so much. Like the skulls on the knees, the skull on the chest, the skull face, skulls everywhere.
You got that little like glow to the eyes, like
yeah.
Let's
see. Let me put the light on.
Yeah, you got to get the light back to it. That light tubing effect.
Let's see.
There you go.
Yeah. There.
There
it is.
Yeah. Nice.
I love it so much.
Terrifying. So good.
I love him. So, he makes me so happy, Adam. Thank you you gave me a really good deal on this. And also he sent along a little Eternia Minis Clawful.
Yeah. Keep him company in the box.
Yeah, I love Clawful, so that's awesome.
You need a little friend, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool. Anyways, Adam, thank you so much.
No problem. Glad you like it.
It makes me want to get some more of the villains. It really has sort of like sparked my interest to start looking into that again. And
all of the Skeletors are fun, and then pretty much all of the villains too are good.
Yeah. The villains were just epic for the franchise beginning to start, no matter which iteration of the show or comic, whatever it is that you're into with Masters of the Universe, the villains just make it so much fun.
Absolutely.
I love that little glowing green boy there.
I love Pumpkinhead, so that's just cool.
Oh, it's so good.
Ooh, speaking of Pumpkinhead, Syndicate Collectibles started showing off some more shots of their Pumpkinhead they're going to have coming out.
Ooh.
Was that you were saying, Adam?
Oh, sorry. I saw like an ad for that horseman, the headless horseman guy, and I was this close to pushing the pre-order button. It was just, and I don't collect Mythic Legions. It was just so cool though.
He's still available on some of the sites if you get a little extra cash for Christmas coming up.
Yeah, maybe.
Everybody buy Adam Mythic Legions gift cards.
That's okay. It's all right.
It's a very cool figure. It's a very difficult figure to resist.
It's a really, really good one.
Yeah. So anything? I mean, there's something else I'm excited about. I did get the notification that my wife picked me up the Reaction Sesame Street figures for my birthday in September. I did get the notification that those are going to be shipping, and I'm super stoked about that. And I'm definitely going to be opening those.
Nice.
I kind of prefer the green flame over the orange flame, or the fire flame. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said as soon as they showed this thing off.
My pumpkin tattoos all have green flames coming
There
out.
you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
I mean, that's more supernatural.
Like I've said to me, like I love Halloween, and this figure to me like embodied everything that was Halloween when they launched it last year.
Yeah.
And that was just the original version. I was like, man, this is so great. This is amazing. And Sean, was able to help me out, get that figure. And it's been a heck of a rabbit hole since. But then when they showed this version off, I was like, were they just, sitting in my headcanon and saw like the ultimate way to make this figure even better by putting it in my favorite freaking colors with the purple and the green and the that orange on the cape now and everything? Like, oh man, how did you go and make it even better than what it originally was?
Okay.
And added glow in the dark too.
Here's what they got to do for if they re-release it: 100% glow in the dark, the whole thing, just a glow in the dark with maybe just some just a wash on it to bring out the details, but otherwise all glow in the dark plastic. That'd be awesome too.
Yeah. It's bad enough that I've spent the initial $100 and some on the first one, then spending $100 and some on the second version. Now Adam wants me to spend yet another $100 and some.
Yeah.
Because if you put that much glow in the dark on it, I'm like, I don't need a nightlight anymore, folks. I have the Headless Horseman, all glow in the dark.
Also, I saw people are going to start getting their Mondo Deluxe Skeletors here pretty soon.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Right up there with people who are getting the Panthers and stuff. Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait to see the photos.
Right?
The Panther ones have been coming out like crazy over the last week.
Yeah.
The Mondo collector groups, because like pretty much if you did an order last week, like earlier into the sale, you got it by that weekend, if I remember right, or close to it. So there's plenty of people that they're already have. Like there was somebody even in the Mythic Legions Cabal that they posted. They had Mondo Panther, Classics Panther, and Perp Lord from Mythic Legions all lined up, and it's like, oh, all the purple and all that, and it's like, I that was definitely a FOMO one for me where I couldn't do it, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, am I going to regret this later? And I'm still saying no, so that's good, but it's like after Battle Cat and then Beastman, it's just it's too much now. Like Mondo has become like, okay, every quarter we need a new one to put out, and it's like, what happened to the days when it was literally like you put 2 out a year? Come on,
1 or 2 a year. When you're talking that expensive of a figure, 1 or 2 a year ain't bad. One every quarter is rough.
You need to give me at least some runway here on this stuff, because when it's $235 for a figure, $500 for a Battle Cat or a Panther, it's like
right.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to see if people would spend the money on it and see how many they could put out a year, so they tested it.
I think a part of it too is Super 7 being like, all right, or not Super 7, Funko being like, all right, you guys gotta let's step on the gas with the production here.
Yep.
So they're like trying to push them a little harder. They've got more resources now, so they might be able to push stuff out a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still like a shame because there are people that do want to collect it, but not everybody can keep up at that pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to my finish line about it this month because as of right now, like I'm looking into next year and I'm like, okay, it depends who you put out even, because would I need Teela? Not necessarily. Would I do like Fisto or Ramman? Absolutely. Those would be heavily in consideration. But I'm looking at more like the ones that mean the most to me now, more than I'm worried about like the core characters or whatever. Because originally I was thinking of doing that. And I'm just like, Man-at-Arms is, and no offense, Bobby, on this, but it's like Man-at-Arms is definitely a core character, but is he one that matters to me as much as, say, like Fisto? No, he is not, unfortunately, or He-Man, or whatever. But I'm
just gonna say it. I mean, the core characters from Masters of the Universe it's a huge number of characters.
Yeah.
The moment you say core characters, it's not just going to be Teela, He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman and Skeletor, Beastman and Evil Lyn or something like that. You're going to be like, okay, well, there's Ramman, there's Fisto, there's Man-at-Arms, there's Trapjaw, there's Merman.
It's the first two waves of the vintage line,
and that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's
and then depending on the person, it's like
Skeletor
is a core character, and,
sure,
So
I was always like, okay, are they on the Filmation episodes 90% of the time? They're a core character at that point. That's going to be what most people know of. Yeah. So like Teela, Man-at-Arms, He-Man, Orko, Cringer / Battlecat, boom, that's your core for the heroes. But then like somebody else could go, but Stratos showed up from time to time. So did Ram-Man. So did, and so it's like, it's murky, but I always have that as like my dividing of those are mostly the main characters that you focus on in those episodes. But
then you got people like me that are like, oh yeah, got to get all those snakes.
Yeah, what the hell's up with that, man?
Why did it have to be
those damn snakes? What the hell?
Freaking love them, man. They're my faction, the Snake Men.
I'll be right back. Sorry,
but that's understandable because you're younger, so that's later on in the line, So
that was such a way of you're younger, you don't know any better. I was waiting for.
Oh no, I was being a smart ass man at that time, but like me, or whatever, we go for the early figures. The guys who are younger probably get the later figures because that was new and that was what they were getting at the time. So
Pixel Dan is younger, so he's
that's why he's
he likes Skeetor. Yeah.
I was always big into. Yeah, Mosquito is cool. He's definitely he was one of my favorite for the action feature, that pumping blood. It was just gruesome. But I mean, for me, I've always liked reptiles because I love dinosaurs, and I mean, it wasn't until later that it was like, well, maybe most dinosaurs didn't have scales all over them like reptiles. Maybe they're not quite so similar. But growing up, like that was the facts at the time, right? Like dinosaurs had scales; they were giant reptiles. So to me, that was like part of what the Snake Men symbolized. And then it bled over into watching stuff like Conan the Barbarian, and then here's this whole snake cult that he's against.
Yeah.
So to me, it fit better to keep going with the snakes.
Speaking of Snake Men, we're going to be discussing one of those briefly today too.
Oh yeah. So we have a battle ram report ready to go. Do we want to do it before or after we have our headcanon discussion?
Let's do the battle ram report first. And the reason I'm kind of asking that is what was the music that we chose? So I can try to Thanks, Bobby. Rock. I couldn't remember.
Rock.
I want to rock.
Also, I think that's a smart move, Oz, because folks, you're encouraged to join in with your headcanon into this headcanon discussion. So in the chat, if you feel like adding some headcanon in there. I know that the text box is not going to allow you to write something lengthy, but yeah, go ahead and chime in. Feel free to start doing that, folks, if you have headcanon you'd like to share.
Right?
So
right, let's cue up this battle
ready?
ram report, right?
Oops. Okay, there you go.
Now it's time for the Battle Ram Report, coming to you live with Adam from the Battle Ram blog. Take it away, Adam. All right, let's go. Come on.
All right.
I love that so much.
I feel like we need a studio audience, like some canned applause or something right after that. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for that awesome intro. All right.
I tried to do the fade in, fade out. It didn't work.
Well, it sounded good.
Thank you.
It's live. Awesome. What do you do?
Yeah. All right. So today on the Battle Ram Report, we are discussing the least snake-like of the snake men, Tongue Lasher. So, and the reason why I picked him is because if you've been on Facebook or some of the groups, you might know there's been a bunch of concept artwork for sale on heritage auctions. Most of it by John Hollis, is unearthed by Motu Joe. He kind of connected with John, got a lot of information, helped him get it up for auction. So I thought it's just a good chance because there was some Tongue Lasher artwork in that group of images, and just kind of go over some of the design history of Tongue Lasher. So here's where he starts. He starts out pretty early in 1984. This dates to. This is by Ted Mayer. Doesn't look very much like the toy that we know. It is mainly just, the idea was, okay, let's do a toy that sticks out his tongue. That's his action feature. So this is what Ted came up with. Just kind of vaguely impish or demonish. But you can kind of see where this led into the Filmation version.
Yeah.
If you go to the next slide,
Definitely.
This goes into what you see on in Filmation for Tongue Lasher. And when we were kids, we probably all wondered, like, why do certain characters not look right? What's going on? Did Filmation just not know how to draw Tongue Lasher? No, obviously they were working way ahead of time to develop this, and this was the version that they had to work with. So some of the next images, that was kind of as far as we had, as far as his early artwork for a long time, until these images that are up on Heritage Auctions came up. So the next version is much more familiar on the next slide. So this was actually, this version of it was created by Martin Ariola, Pat Dunn. So you can see this version's already pretty close to the final toy. The only difference is he's got some yellow on the legs. The tongue's a different color. He doesn't have the Snakeman logo on his chest. Yes, Thanos' headcanon probably be very NSFW. So this is kind of first pass. I think John Hollis did the colors on this, and then he did. If you go to the next one, there's kind of a finer. This would be like the presentation boards when they're saying, okay, here's our upcoming concept. Is a very kind of nice presentation worthy version of it. With a lot more shading and detail and nice background. So the thing that John Hollis actually worked on was the accessories, really. So if we go to the next one, so he basically, what he had thought was, so there's this dragonfly crossbow. So his accessories would be the crossbow, which made it into the toy. But also he would have this kind of belt thing that would go around his waist, and you'd see a bunch of arrows sticking out of the back of the belt. So he kind of shows that how it'd look like in a transparency in the image. And I think it's the next one where you sort of see how it would look kind of in action on the final slide.
So do you think that the crossbow portion of that, like that dragonfly crossbow, kind of leads into that whole originally kind of being presented as a member of the Horde, or was that just something later because they were introducing him into the show and the Horde was the bad guy for the show?
Yeah, I mean, it does. He's the only Snake Man with a crossbow, and I kind of wondered about that. But they also make Rattler a Horde guy in the Filmation cartoon, or at one point he's with Skeletor too. Depends on the actual show. I kind of think it was just, well, we've got these characters and we don't want to bother to make introduce a new faction, so we can stick them in the Horde. That's kind of what I think happened. But it does make you think with the crossbow. The image on the left comes from one of his Eternia sketches, and that's you can kind of just see that he would be wearing this belt thing, and you could see the arrows sticking up in the back, and that's how that would work. The one on the right is from like this big Preternia illustration, and this one he's got like this snake. I don't know if it's a dagger. It's not like one of the the traditional Snake Man staff. It's something a little different there. But that's the other early piece of concept art for Tongue Lasher.
It's cool.
So I never had Tongue Lasher as a kid, and the only time I've been able to hold him in my hands is when I found him later on. So is that why? So the arrow pack would go on this side, so this would free up the tool to stick out his tongue.
Yeah, I mean it could be. In the illustration where it shows that, if you go back one, it shows I don't know how well you see it on the screen.
I see it, yeah.
You can kind of see it around the back, but it doesn't illustrate or actually on this one it might be in the front. I don't know. We see a couple of different versions. And maybe if you look really closely at the actual image of Tongue Lasher on the far right, it looks like he could hang his crossbow on the back. So maybe you could kind of switch them. There's like a place in the front to hold things.
I see that.
In the back.
So he never came with that though, did he? Right?
No, he didn't come with the arrow thing. No.
Yeah. I love that. That's so cool.
Cobweb brought it up here too, and for years a lot of people have always said that Tongue Lasher himself doesn't really look that much like a snake, with the way his hands look, his feet look. He's very similar to a poison dart frog.
Right.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I gotta say, after seeing these concept arts, it definitely looks like he was meant to be like a poison dart frog kind of figure, and that makes sense that he would have like a crossbow that shot poison bolts, So this is really cool getting to go back and see these. And I remember when we were at PowerCon, Joe had brought a couple of the pictures in, so it's really cool getting to see some more of it because he only had a very limited selection. This is really neat.
And I would encourage everybody to check out Heritage Auctions. I don't know if any of it's going to be actually affordable. I've never bought anything that
for
way.
Us, probably not.
Probably not. But you can look at all the images are scanned in high resolution. You can save them if you want. I've done that, so take a look at what's there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I always considered him more of a frog anyway. I don't care.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's why
he's definitely a frog.
Part of my headcanon now is that he and Frogmonger are going to be buddies.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome, Adam. Thank you so much for doing this. God, I love it every time.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
No problem.
Absolutely love seeing
it. So that takes us to our headcanon discussion.
Oh wait, shoot, we had a topic, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I thought that you were going to say something. So how do we even start this? Because I honestly, when we, I think it was Adam, you came up with this idea in the chat, and we're like, oh my god, that's a great idea. And then I started to panic a little bit. I was like, oh wait a minute, what's my headcanon? Then I kind of got excited to try to think about the worlds I would create as a kid, with my toys out in the we lived on a Christmas tree farm, and so I would go out there and get lost, and how did my headcanon changed constantly. So how about you guys? How do you feel about it? Do you have very specific storylines that you stick to, that you believe in, or does it fluctuate?
Mine fluctuates. I'll just point out really quick, the reason why I thought of this was because I was doing an article on Demo Man, and he's one of a few, like a handful of figures that did have a specific headcanon, and that made me think about it's pretty common in like Motu chat places like at heman.org or on Facebook or whatever, where people would say, they'd start off a sentence, in my canon ... So like, and often sometimes it's like, I don't like this new story idea, like back in the day of the classics bios or whatever it was. So or a lot of times people who are really into the early mini comics, they would have a totally different, they wanted to reject things like Prince Adam and Orko, things like that. So it's a phrase I've heard over and over again when people are discussing He-Man. So I thought, for sure, okay, what's everybody's headcanon?
Yeah. Who wants to go first? So I think it's a great thing to discuss, because Masters of the Universe, as we've talked about like many times before, if you're into it, you have a very you're driven by your imagination, and you have a creative spirit. There's just something about it that like gets our creative juices flowing and our imaginations going wild. The characters are so strange, and the world is so interesting, and it's tech, and it's magic, and it's snakes and dinosaurs and castles and caves and lava and jungles and deserts and quicksand, and I mean it's dragons. It's everything. Rock people. So where do you even begin with something like this?
Beginning.
So begin at the beginning and end at the end.
The beginning of when you first got into it, I guess.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's tough too, because like when you're a kid, like if you're one of the older people like Bobby or me, some people who are I don't know, older, but got into it earlier. You learned one canon with mini comics, and if you read the DC comics, that's a totally different canon. And then when Filmation came about, that's a third canon that's also totally different. And you kept seeing different canons that only slightly overlap. So you're used to sort of this uncertainty of, okay, what does this character do? What do they mean? What's their role?
Yeah, because when I got the toys originally, that was before Filmation came out.
Yep.
I didn't read the mini comics when I got the figures, and then like my friends across the street and my other friends, everybody just ripped open the packages. I don't think I've ever really seen a mini comic back in the day, or any of those golden books or nothing like that. So originally it was just, they're fighting in front of Castle Grayskull. You had the good guys and bad guys. That's all it was for me. It was just battles, nothing, no real stories or nothing, just them fighting and trying to get into something. But then when Filmation came around, I used to record them on cassette tapes, just like the audio. And I would listen to them and play with my toys while listening to them and stuff. And that's where a lot of the canon is for me, is the Filmation. But I didn't But when we played with the toys with me and my friends, it was just us just fighting each other. It wasn't, any major storyline, or anything like that. It was just, I'm He-Man, I'm going to come and kick your ass, Skeletor. And Skeletor says, yeah, fuck you. And then we start fighting, or something.
Fuck you.
Beastman's over there in the corner taking a dump, and, that's about it. So, but
what's Bobby doing with Beastman over there?
Yeah, he's got a timeout. But, it wasn't anything like, no major storylines or nothing like that. I think we did more with that, like Voltron, because we used to ride our bicycles around, and we all pretend like one of us was a lion. But other than that, we didn't really do a lot of stories. It was just more battles. I did that with my Star Wars. I put them one side of the table, the other, and I just pick them off. How many guys I had, one at a time. So usually the good guys won because I had more good guys than bad guys. So that's how it was for me. Yeah. I didn't really have too much of stories that I developed in my head about it. It was just more, good versus bad fighting.
Yeah. So, for me, it was He-Man was a barbarian who had, special, who had, special strength.
Yep.
And I did read those first comics, and I mean, more probably just looked at the pictures, but I'm pretty sure I read them. But I was really attached to the idea of this world being dirty and scary. And maybe that's because I grew up in the mountains, and I'd be out there in the dirt and getting these figures, muddy and throwing them in the creek, and like it was a less of a magical place whenever I would play with them, and so I've always attached myself more to the first mini comic storylines, and then when Filmation came out, He-Man felt more like Superman to me, and I liked Superman, so I didn't have a problem with that. So I was okay to adjust the storyline a little bit as the canons. Can we even use the word evolved? As the canon changed and evolved.
Yeah.
And then in my world, the Star Wars bounty hunters could team up with Skeletor and Beastman and Merman. If I was at a friend's house and they had Skeletor and Beastman, I'd bring my Star Wars figures and we'd do that. And that's a whole other thing. And part of the canon, part of the Masters of the Universe thing that always makes it okay for us to bridge that gap is that it's very inspired by Star Wars, with the tech and the mysticism. So you can just put those figures in there, even if the sizes are different.
Yeah, because I remember when I first started playing with them, the world seemed very dark to me.
Yeah, dark, exactly.
Compared to like when Filmation came out, a year later or whatever it was a little brighter, for me. But I remember seeing probably because I always looked at all the images like when I got the packaging, and everything was always dark. The outside world was always spacey or whatever. So it's just I always pictured it as being dark all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like when we opened up our gifts though and stuff like that for Christmas or whatever, because that's the only time I ever got the He-Man figures is when my parents would always throw out all the packages, and they throw out probably the comics and all that stuff. I didn't have any of the paper stuff. I just had the toy. Yeah. So that's why I never read anything at the time. I didn't know they really had comics, to tell you the truth, back then, because I never seen them.
Yeah.
Too much. Yeah.
So how about you guys?
Sean, you want to go?
So when I was a kid, I didn't have a particular headcanon. When I got the toys, it was before Filmation, so I just went with like what the commercials were just showing, He-Man, timpani drums and all that, and even the commercials made it just feel more like on this alien kind of a world, and it was going to be like it was going to be a sparse place, mostly like rocks and dirt and darkness and stuff. So like I am one of those people that the first day that I sat down to watch Filmation, I'm watching it going, this is not what I thought this was going to be at all. I literally, it's like, was I happy to see a He-Man cartoon? Yeah, I wasn't going to fight anybody on that. But I was also like, did they read the mini comics? Like, what the hell is this? Like, the minute I saw Orko, I literally was like Lubbock in the movie. What the hell is this? Who the hell is this guy? You know?
Totally.
But like over time, the way that I've looked at it, it still has like it always sat weird with me that He-Man became a Superman character because I had Superman as a kid. Superman was great as is. I didn't need a barbarian Superman. So it like I always still go back to the barbarian version of He-Man where he's a little more full of himself. He likes to talk smack a lot more. He's not necessarily Superman where he's going to smile at you and wink and you hear ding and all that stuff. You know, he's going to be a little more, rough and tumble, like a lighter Conan, for lack of a better term. He's not going to try to sleep with Teela every other episode or something, but he's going to be a lot more like he'll get himself dirty. He'll get himself hurt if it means he's furthering whatever the adventure or the mission is that he's going through. And like my headcanon usually for that is I always wish they would have done the whole here's the two halves of the power sword and have it be a race against time storyline between him and Skeletor, because Skeletor's always into his MacGuffin of the weeks. But I always thought, why can't they just go to that story? Because that's a freaking big deal. If Skeletor gets both halves, he gets into Grayskull, and you don't want him in Grayskull. It's the most galactic version of Capture the Flag I've ever seen in my life. And it's always, well, here's the Ram Stone, or here's the Diamond Ray of Disappearance. It's like, those are great in ways, but I still wish they would have done that. So like Barbarian He-Man, and he's somebody who's just traversing Eternia, and if people need help, he helps them. Because he's just like, he's kind of this wandering nomad. He wants to do good, and every time he does good, he's really happy that he gets to beat the crap out of somebody, because that's just, like a Conan kind of a way and all that stuff. Skeletor would be a demon from another dimension who crossed over into Eternia, and that leads to He-Man being like, I can fight all these interdimensional baddies and just, bust some heads and all this stuff. But I do like it would become Capture the Sword eventually. Like it would be, okay, He-Man, we got to get this half, and this half is in the Ice Mountains or whatever, and we got to stop him before he gets there and get this. And then when he finally gets both halves, you can have that crossover with the I have the power moment. And I like that in this version, it would be is he going to be a good version of this, or is he going to be bad? But the story for me would be more about he ends up by accident uniting Eternia against Skeletor, and the fact that Skeletor wants to get into Grayskull and bring all hell to Eternia. That's kind of always how I like to play it ever since I got back into the line, because it's a version I've never seen play out yet, and nobody's had the chance to do it yet, at least,
Wouldn't you think someone would want to do that for the movie just because it hasn't been done yet?
That would be good.
I would love to see that, but I think there'd be so many people out there who would just not love it, because again, I always think it would have to be more Filmation-esque no matter what, because that's usually this is the go-to for a lot of a generation. And for me, I'm like, I'm one of those people where it's like, if you've already shown me that, I'm good. I'd like to see a different take then, And in that way, it's like, Filmation was great. I grew up with it. I like aspects, and I don't like other aspects. But at the end of the day, I'd really love to go to that original material and just play it out finally, because it never had the chance, because Filmation came in a year later and boom, all of a sudden that's our canon now. And like I said, I'm not like angry about it, but I've always had that, like, what could have been if you did that version instead?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that think that way. Yep.
Yeah, and I think we've actually talked about it on here, that it would be great even if they did like an animated version of it, an animated movie like Fire and Ice or something.
Yeah,
that had that followed that storyline, just to give that to us eventually. Or equally cool would be a long running comic book that followed that storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, another thing of my headcanon real quick is just the idea that the way that Eternia was based in the box art, when you look at the Wind Raider box art, the Battle Ram box art, Castle Grayskull, Battle Cat, all that stuff, that honestly, it really had this primal effect on me. It was like, this place would scare me to death if I was on Eternia. It literally looked like you couldn't go anywhere to be safe. So the idea of playing up that primal idea of it is way more what I wanted to see as a kid, because yes, would parent groups probably have been like, oh, you can't do that? Right. Maybe. But I'll tell you, the one episode that always got to me the most was House of Shakoti, because it went there. It put stakes there. It made darkness scary as hell. It made this ancient evil something where I literally was like, I have to see the next episode because this is freaking creepy and I love it. And the idea, like I said it before and I'll say it again on here and other places, like He-Man to me is that guy that jumps out from behind you in the night and he's fighting every fucking monster that you have to go up against in your own nightmares.
Right.
And he's just like, I've got this. And you're like, I'm not afraid anymore. It's just like Stanlin in that episode. I'm not afraid because He-Man showed up and Battle Cat shows up and Man-at-Arms and it's like, that to me was way more the flavor of this line compared to Superman for me. Because Superman already was there. Christopher Reeve pulled that off beautifully. I'm good. It's like, give me the guy who's willing to go up against a demon, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's my boy right there. So that's more my headcanon than anything at this point.
Yeah. I'm with you, Sean. I would love to see that. So Oz, Adam, how about you guys?
I mean,
Oz, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So, me being born a little bit later in 85, Filmation was out, like the whole series was out by that point in high rotation and syndication and on channel. You literally watch He-Man every friggin' day of the week and multiple times on the weekend. It was everywhere. And to be completely honest, like, it was cool. I liked it. Like Sean was saying, it was great. There's this He-Man cartoon. But that He-Man was not my He-Man. He-Man's got a sword and an axe, in my toy. And he don't ever use that crap in the show. Like, if he's using a sword, it's to chop a boulder. That just seems like a dumb use of a sword to me.
To do this.
It is what it is. Yeah. Right. Like, he's doing that. The occasional reflect the power blast. Now goes back in the sheath. It's like, well, my He-Man's got a shield, so he doesn't need to use a sword like one. So
you just got to remember the times.
I do remember the times, and you.
No, I'm saying that's the times that's why it's done that way.
Yeah, there was a lot of rules about what they could do and what they couldn't do to show for kids and all like that, and I completely get it. But it also pulled me away from it because, again, I also remember like seeing things like, again, we talk about the box art a lot and how that looked. How that was very similar to seeing stuff like Boris Vallejo artwork or, Frank Frazetta artwork. And to me, that was a lot more rugged. That was like more of what I felt He-Man was like, with the toys. And again, I was very young. These are probably things maybe I shouldn't have been exposed to, but like, I saw that stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just so much cooler. And then I did watch Conan at a very young age as well. It was released on TV version, so a lot of the other stuff was cut out of it. But seeing that kind of stuff, right? Like to me, that was He-Man, right? And he is this buff barbarian that's out there battling demons, sorcerers, and wizards, and kicking their butts and throwing them into a fire. It was a very brutal world. And that's just kind of how I enjoyed it, and kind of it's what I liked. So to me, it was a very, very much more hard version than the Filmation cartoon. And then years later, we get this reboot coming up. Mike Young Productions, the 2000X line. That actually added to my headcanon when I finally got to see that in its full. When it finally came out on DVD and I got to see a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff with the commentary and like the idea of how they wanted to approach the story. And to me, I just kind of liked that idea a little bit more. So that added more to my headcanon, where Masters of the Universe are like, again, it was very similar to the She-Ra Filmation cartoon, where the heroes are, this ragtag group of eclectic heroes that are battling against an all-ruling, all-powerful thing. Now, that's not how the actual 2000X storyline went with the cartoon that we got, but hearing that about it and how it was supposed to be, Skeletor did get both halves of the power sword. He did access the power of Grayskull and the secrets of Grayskull, and that added to his sorcery. So then the masters had to adapt and rely more on technology and get involved into that. So they recreated a new key to access the power from Grayskull with He-Man's new, more technological sword. And that resonated with me very well too. So that kind of added to my headcanon itself as well. But the truth is, it's like, that's the best part about headcanon. No matter what you do with it, you can't go wrong because you're the one having fun with it. That's how you play with it and what you enjoy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So are you, as a fan of the 2000X Mike Young storyline, are you a Keldor or a Keldor Skeletor believer, or a demon from another dimension Skeletor believer?
Originally, I was more like, I never picked up on the idea in the mini comic that there was this hint of Keldor, even though I had that mini comic with Faker and Scareglow and Ninjor and all like that being the hunt for Keldor. Like, that's the first time that's ever mentioned. It goes all the way back to that mini comic where they kind of put a little inkling that Keldor is King Randor's brother, and that turns into Skeletor. Like, I remember the panels from that comic, but it didn't, like, the words meant nothing to me. I can't even remember if I was actually reading at the time that I remember that. Oh yeah. So that didn't hit me until 2000X. So for me growing up, Skeletor was this sorcerer, and I did pull from the Filmation when they eventually did that crossover and you found out that he studied under Hordak. It was like, well, that just made sense to me. That Hordak, taught him some of this magic and everything like that. And then Skeletor betrayed him and started studying magic on his own, and then became his own powerful sorcerer in his own right. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it was Skeletor who sealed Hordak up in Despondos, betraying him, that made him rise to power. And kind of like Hordak did, in my mind, something similar like that to King Hiss, and that's why King Hiss wasn't around. So there's always just this layer upon layer of the bad guys stabbing each other in the back and taking over Snake Mountain.
Yeah. I have a question for you. So in 2000X, they made Triclops kind of like the evil Man-at-Arms, where he's creating all the gadgets for Skeletor, which is definitely not his role in any of the vintage canons.
No, not at all.
What is he for you?
Now I definitely kind of lean him over more towards that, kind of inventor, that Man-at-Arms kind of thing with that, because it just kind of makes, to me, seeing that now makes sense. Like originally I would say it was more like Trapjaw that was that, because that's what, like he built himself this arm, but that doesn't always make sense to me. Like he built it himself with one arm. He built this mechanical arm. He built
because he's powerful. He's the best.
He can do anything.
That's right.
Clearly he can.
Yeah.
So
he could have
now to
gotten
me
into
it makes
acting.
more sense. Right. He's the reason that Manny Faces can't get a gig anymore. Trapjaw's just better actor.
Trapjaw's the Gary Oldman of Eternia.
That's right.
Right.
He plays a mean pirate.
That's right.
So I gotta say, like, to me, Triclops definitely, like, now he feels like more the inventor kind of thing. And again, this was something I didn't know about, like Spiker. Spiker was the one who originally invented like the Terror Claws. Like he was actually like their blacksmith kind of thing. That's something I didn't know about until way later. Like that was within the last couple of years I'd learned that. But yeah, like in the old vintage stuff, like he was a master hunter, like swordsman, mercenary kind of dude. And like honestly, I like looking at him that way. That he's like this mercenary, and that also can make sense with why he might need to invent some technology or stuff like that, or like he's like a bounty hunter in his own right. So, you put enough price on somebody's head, he'll collect.
Yeah, he always reminded me from the Cyclops from Krull.
Definitely,
he was more like that, and he also kind of sounds a little like him in the Filmation cartoon in a way. And
you're right.
I always picked up on that. Like I always thought of him that way. The more, like you said, the hunter and all that stuff. So the inventor thing is, it's more modern.
Yeah.
But I always like the them from other worlds and stuff to come in, Skeletor's recruiting that way. I like that more.
Yeah, I like that too.
Is how
that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean it's cool because they're not going to have a bunch of bad guys on the planet just all of a sudden get together. You pull them all from everywhere, so it was kind of neat.
Right. If anything, they would hate each other. Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
They're all after the same thing. Why would they ever want to work together?
Yeah.
If you look at it from the line of, Skeletor offering them a little piece of something to get them united against this common threat, because to every villain, they're the hero of the story, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do like the 2000X story and all that stuff, but like I said, I like it because it's separate. It's not the same as the Filmation. You can keep those two separate. But
you definitely can. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a big fan of the Kronos part of it though. With Trapjaw, I don't like that too much. Keldor's okay. It's not bad. It's a decent story, but I still like Skeletor as the demon from somewhere. It's to me.
To me, it just makes more sense if he was this demon, right? Like Eternia seems like this kind of like goody two shoes place. Like the idea that this evil was born of Eternia itself, just I don't know, like it doesn't fit.
Clawful and Whiplash and Merman, they're more organic characters.
Very organic.
It can be from that planet or whatever, but. All the other guys did come from somewhere else. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
So I've starred a lot of the chat and what they were doing.
We haven't heard Adam's canon yet.
So a lot of mine is similar to. I mean, I see a lot of echoes, especially probably Sean's comments. So I like when I was a kid, like again, I don't think most kids probably make up their own canons. It's more like making up their own adventures with toys. but I was taken aback because I had been introduced to the first figures with the Alcala mini comics. And when Filmation came, I was super excited. Loved everything except the Prince Adam bits. I was like, I don't want this guy. Get rid of this guy. Where's He-Man? So that annoyed me. It doesn't annoy me now. I love watching the cartoon, but it definitely annoyed me then. When I was getting back into it as an adult, that's when I kind of started, like, probably influenced by all these other fans who come up with ideas for who these characters really are in their minds. I came up with a few things, and some of it's definitely pulling from those old mini comics where He-Man is not Prince Adam. He's he's kind of like this tribesman. He's not he can't lift a mountain. He can't lift Castle Grayskull. He's he's a little bit more vulnerable. Like if he gets in a fight with Merman, it's not 100% that he's going to win, right? Merman could get the best of him if he kind of outwits him. But then I was so basically a lot of those early elements. But I remember one day just like looking at kind of the figures on my shelf, like Skeletor and Demo Man from the Classics line together. And they had come up with kind of this controversial background for Skeletor, where Skeletor is Keldor, and he was just like in the 2000X. He's injured by his own acid attack. Hordak has to save him, but in order to do that in the Classics continuity, they take this entity called Demo Man, and he merges that with Skeletor. Which I didn't take that, but I really liked Demo Man the character, and I wanted him to be on Skeletor's team. So my thought was, okay, in Eternia, there's tons of demons everywhere. And you have to be very careful. If somebody dies, you have to either protect them with a spell or cremate them or something, because a demon will come and reanimate their corpse, and it won't be that person anymore. It'll be the demon. And so my thought was, that's what happened to Skeletor. He was a warrior. He was slain. They couldn't recover the body, and he was taken over by this powerful entity. Demo Man, maybe he's like some mountain troll or ogre or something. And he's, he kind of dies on his own up in the mountains. But so they're not the original selves. They're these demons, but they're kind of contemporaries, and they end up teaming up that way.
I love that idea.
So that's probably the most different thing that I came up with. I also put like Vicor, like this figure, as, again, this is somebody from He-Man's tribe, right? It's not like an old He-Man from a previous age. This is a contemporary He-Man. He's sometimes at allies with He-Man as well. I retconned the palace guards. Instead of like guarding the Turnos Palace, they're actually from Man-at-Arms' people. Like they're this small group of people who's mastered this technology leftover from a more advanced version of Eternia. And when the wars kind of came about and people regressed, the small group of people who kind of, figured out how this armor works and some of the vehicles and weapons, and they've managed to sort of cobble those together. So that's kind of my vision.
Here's what I'm taking from this entire conversation. Adam and Sean, you got to write the damn movie. Just fucking do it. Like, write the script. And the two of you have got the best ideas. Like, just write the script. It's going to be amazing. Adam's got subplots and backstory. Sean's got the primary dilemma. Let's just make it happen.
No, that would be fun. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a writer, but I love spitballing ideas until I'm red in the face, basically. But if you can write a sentence, you're a writer. So that's true. I guess that is true. But the other thing that I did after I got back into the line, even though I have my own head canon of this is what I'd like, I also was doing the whole, well, how could you work it to work with what's already there and make it make peace with that? Because I'm like Adam, where, you know, like the Prince Adam stuff when I was a kid and Orko, those were scenes where I was like, if I had a fast forward on this TV right now, I swear to God, you know, like that I would have been okay with not having. And it's like, bring He-Man out, bring Battle Cat out and stuff. But I had this other idea too, really quick, I wanted to throw out, where Randor is a king who knows previously magic was a problem. And like it could have been because of Skeletor or something. I had like a way of doing that previously, and I can't remember. But it was the whole idea of there is that, you know, technology and magic, and Randor decided that magic is unreliable. It's based on the person controlling the magic, and that's the problem. But with technology, you can have that be reliable, which is why he is more interested in having Duncan creating the tech for his kingdom and stuff like that, and using that as their ultimate method of protection within Eternos and stuff. And I love the idea of it being, you know, you have Adam being, you know, always hiding the secret of, I am He-Man, but he's also doing something against his father's wishes, which is he was chosen to wield the magic in order to balance everything. It's like that whole, it almost, I don't want to say Anakin Skywalker, but it has that vibe of you still need the magic in order to make Eternia the way it needs to be. The magic and the technology have to be balanced. And so I always like the idea of that is how, you know, He-Man works within the magic part of it, and Adam's doing it against his father's wishes, but his father's seeing progress because He-Man's there doing what he does and stuff. And then if I have to have Orko in there, Orko's going to be helping stand in for Adam every time Adam's not in the room. It's like, why the heck is Orko in this? And he's always messing up. Make him a viable character. Have him be the guy who's making like a projection or turning himself into Adam, so there is no question that Adam isn't there. Why is Adam never there when He-Man's there and all that stuff? It's just those little simple things.
Nobody ever notices that. Nobody ever notices that Adam and He-Man are never in the same room. Nobody notices.
Lois Lane.
Tila's always noticing. Where is he going? Why is he always not here?
Really?
He's such a damn coward, that chicken shit little prince. Spoiled brat. Father was a great warrior. Look at that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had to hide that so he could protect them as well by not revealing who he was.
Right. So I think that, people can say what they want about Revelation, but two of the aspects that I enjoyed about Revelation was, one, the problem of hiding the truth and the consequences that comes from that. You know, Adam not revealing to some people, but revealing to others, and how that could really have some repercussions and have a severe impact on the people closest to you. And then as Sean was just talking about, the relationship between magic and technology on this planet that kind of needs both. And I thought, that's the way you do it for those particular two storylines that have always been present. Let's see what we've got. Oz, you've been starring comments. We've got 24 comments starred. Let's see what people have to say about their own canons. Do you want to click on them, or should I click on them, Oz?
I got it. So I'm still going to save Thanos's original comment for last here, but I want to bring up Bud's, of course. You know, Bud, he wrote about like 37 pages of headcanon back on the Discord. And if you guys want to check out the full details there, you sign up as a Patreon member to either myself, Skelly, Adam, and Bobby. We all have different patrons. Sign up to any one of us. You get access to that Discord, although it's been kind of neglected lately. And Sean's going to have something for Scar Varniacs eventually down the line, I know. But just, we go ahead here, and the first kind of thing that Bud put out there, and it's not exactly headcanon, but it's how he views, like, we were talking about like how the groups went, or core groups, or people, when we were discussing about that. And Bud says he sees it as a core group or teams. So like, your He-Man, Tila, Man-at-Arms, Orko, Many-Faces, and Battle-Cat is like a main team. And then you got the villains, where you got Skeletor, Evelyn, Beastman, Trapjaw, Triclops, and Merman. And then everybody else is just kind of like secondary, tertiary guys, your A-Team, B-Team. So then it gets into his actual headcanon here a little bit for the TMNT Motu crossover. And I love this. So Despondos and Dimension X are actually the same place. And that's how Shredder finds Eternia.
Oh, that's kind of a cool concept. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I kind of dig it too, because like the whole idea, like, with Ninja Turtles is that they do visit different dimensions and different realms. Like that's happened before, again, with Dimension X and other things. They've gone back and forth in time even. So it's really cool headcanon to think that something like that happens, and it helps give a lot of people who are like, I don't understand how this is going to work. Well, guess what? You figure out how it works for you. And if you don't like it at all, that's cool. But don't yuck anybody else's yum. So that's some definite like great headcanon right there, and I dig it, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Helps make sense.
Yeah, it's clever.
All right, so then we got a couple from Ace lining up here. Ace has said that definitely do not vibe with the idea of Skeletor being He-Man's uncle, and this bleeds into a little bit of like what Thanos does, or what Thanos won't do with certain scenes on his page. Because in Ace's version, there's a lot of certain kind of pent up tension between Skeletor and He-Man.
They can't live without each other. It's like Batman and Joker. Skeletor's always thinking about him, and He-Man's always thinking about Skeletor.
Yeah, I don't like the uncle thing either too much. Why does everybody have to be related all the time to hate each other?
It doesn't really, and it's like the concept of half brothers or step brothers, button heads is so like played out and not that interesting really when you think about it. I'm more interested in interested in like not knowing a person's motivation.
Right. Yeah, you just hate them just because you hate them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the Star Wars thing where they overdid. Everybody's secretly related to each other.
Yeah.
It's so retarded. I much prefer, like when I saw those first 3 Star Wars films, you had an inkling, right? You knew that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad by the end of Return of the Jedi because you saw the ghosts,
Wait, what?
You saw the ghosts hanging out at
40-year spoiler alert, Bobby.
But
I did get that spoiled though when I was a kid. My friend told me.
But I didn't need to know. I didn't need to know everything about Anakin Skywalker, and I definitely did not need to know about midichlorians. And so it's the same thing. Like the more we try and make an IP more interesting or a storyline more interesting, the more we might be damaging it. And Sean, I know you can identify with this because you work with digital art. But if you put too much on that thing, then you have to start taking away, right?
Well, that goes with what George Lucas said years ago, where he said that like when he did his all the special effects, he's like, well, the reason why I'm doing it this way is because if you put too much into it, it muddies it and makes it awful. That's because he didn't have the technology. Now that he's got the technology, he's like, hey, I could do it.
He
made excuses for it back then. And now it's just like, he's overdone it. But I'll defend the Phantom Menace real quick because I do like it a little bit. I like the storyline of Palpatine.
Yeah, it is a good storyline for him. I agree.
I mean, because he's there, he's in front of everybody, all the Jedis, everybody, and they can't freaking tell that who he is. That's how powerful he is. He has it hidden so well that they can't tell that he's got the dark side in him whatsoever.
Yeah,
that's what I like about it. That's the coolest part. All the other shit's just, you know, garbage. But that storyline right there is he's right there in front of Yoda, and Yoda doesn't know he's the Sith Lord.
Darth Vader was so cool to me.
But
he was so cool to me.
That's the thing.
He was also, I don't need to know that he was a frustrated teen, you know? It's like, I'm less interested in that.
Well, who wasn't, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
If anything, that should make him more relatable to you.
Well, he had a lot of
Be
sand.
that evil if you wanted to be.
A lot of
There's so much sand in his underwear.
Sand.
so much sand. That's the worst part of anything nowadays. I mean, the thing is, nowadays with storytelling, we want all the answers through the storytelling, and we want the origins because that's what we're programmed for. Because all the superhero movies, and granted, I love the superhero movies, but the superhero movies that programmed us, we need the origin every single time.
Yes.
But in some ways, it's good because it establishes the world. It establishes your stakes. It establishes who your characters are. But in my opinion, though, like, there's characters for me, like the Joker. I don't want to know who he is.
Exactly.
I like him better as this force of nature that will not be reasoned with. The same as I love the idea that Skeletor is something that on Eternia is inquantifiable, and it makes it that's why you need He-Man. He's the only one who's brave enough to go, somebody's got to stop this guy, and I'm going to be the guy to do it. And I might not know everything about him. I didn't realize he hated sand when he was a kid. I didn't realize he did this, that, or the other. But I like the idea that sometimes you have to go up against the unknown in order to do something spectacular. And that, to me, is what Skeletor should be. He should be the unknown and throw stuff at him that he's never seen before, and it makes everybody else go, holy crap, how are we going to stop this guy?
But a great storyteller doesn't need to go into all that detail for you to understand.
This is why everything. Adam and Sean are going to write a great script.
I mean, if you take The Stand from Stephen King and you look at Randall Flagg, you don't have to know anything about him, but you know that this dude's a badass. This guy is evil. Yeah. Something's wrong with this guy. You know that. Okay, so you don't have to go into the backstory of what he is. You know
exactly. So contemporary movies do make the mistake of overtelling or overshowing a lot lately. But I was
Halloween.
Oh yeah. But what I did see recently was, it took me forever to see it, but it was the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. Okay. It's like the third, now I guess it would be like the third movie. And and there are a lot of things in that are not explained, and it works perfectly fine. So you young directors out there thinking that you need to explain every little thing, you don't. It still works today for today's audiences, and I don't, it's still a powerful story.
I mean, since we were talking like Star Wars, I mean, you take Star Wars, the first movie. I know everybody calls it The New Hope. I still call it Star Wars, but
Amen,
you didn't have to know all the background.
No,
you understood what the story is telling you. You know,
absolutely.
Well, it's the same thing. Since you were talking about Ghostbusters, watch that first movie. The first movie, it doesn't spoon feed you this stuff, and you figure it out through multiple rewatches who these guys are, why they want to do what they're doing, and all of the stuff that leads up to that ending where they're on the high rise in Central Park. Like like it almost breaks all of the rules of what storytelling right now is about. But it does it so well that you don't really watch it thinking that. You watch it and you go, hey, that was a fun movie. And then you're like, I never found out why they wanted to do Ghostbusters other than they wanted to start a business. I never figured out. It's like, you know what? It didn't matter. It was three great guys that ended up doing a Terminator or an Exterminator job in New York City. There you go.
I'm laughing because the whole time you're talking, I think I hear someone's dog is drinking water.
Oh, yeah, that's
well, I thought that was Oz. He forgot to mute himself.
I thought it was Oz too. So I just checked that the Oz. Anyways, I thought it was Oz too. I was like, what is going on over there? But yeah, I was checking to see if he was again. It's the washer. But yes, Sean, absolutely. Anyways, it was yes, you are absolutely right. Okay, so since Oz is not here, I'm going to continue with the comments or the everybody's the canons here. So we've got okay, Joe. In my canon, Orko is a master wizard who pretends to be incompetent, to be underestimated. See, I've always thought that too. Like, like he's actually sort of playing a role, and but he actually has more abilities that he's not.
Well, actually, he does. He is very good, but it's on his planet. It's just that Eternia, he can't.
When I found that out. When I found that out, I thought, well, that maybe I like it better if he's the one deciding on how to use his magic or not.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because he's powerful.
Yes.
And Alf says the way I see it is that it's in the name, Masters of the Universe. I have the power. It's all there. I think it's up to each of us to create our universe how we want to play it. Imagination is the power. Yes,
true.
100%. That's probably why we all love this line so much.
Yeah.
Cobweb says, I love Filmation, but in my head canon with my toys, He-Man used his sword to kill and kick some ass. Yes.
That's basically what everybody did, I'm sure,
Yeah.
I mean, as much as they said that they took the violence out, for the kids, we're all beating. Like I said, I was beating each other up all the time, all the toys.
Yeah, He-Man. Whenever I played with He-Man, he had the axe. That's just me. I always just had him with the axe, and it was brutal. It was brutal.
And that's why I had that punch feature. We all just punched each other,
chopping up stormtroopers.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to put something in the chat really quick.
Oh yeah.
Because speaking of headcanon, Mark Taylor, who did all of the early design work for He-Man, he had his own headcanon too. Some of it kind of leaked into the series, and most of it didn't. But you can read about it there in the article I just posted.
Awesome, thank you. Definitely go over there and read that, folks. Bud says, I always wondered what the Filmation cartoon would have been like if it was more like that original cartoon commercial. Yes, yes, and yes. I would have loved to have seen that series of cartoons. Always felt Hordak and the Horde would have been better bad guys for He-Man. I don't know if I would use the word better, but they're a very exciting team of bad guys. I think they're
like I always said, unfortunately, She-Ra came out on the cartoon instead of continuing He-Man, so they had to use that for the toys. But I mean, I don't mind it nowadays, but I hated it when it came out as a kid. It's like, why is She-Ra here? Where's He-Man? And then I realized that they weren't going to have like a He-Man and She-Ra cartoon separate. They just dropped He-Man altogether. I'm like, that sucks. I was upset.
I remember just watching She-Ra once just because I wanted to see Leech, because I got Leech as a present. Like, I want to see Leech on the cartoon. But like, it was the same thing. Like, oh, She-Ra, I'm not interested in She-Ra. I want He-Man.
Exactly.
It was surprising for me because I was already playing with them with the He-Man characters. They were
because they came out with them. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only real villain was Catra, I believe, right? And then Entrapta maybe later on.
Double Trouble.
Yeah.
And if you look at the She-Ra comics, most of it's just She-Ra versus Catra. Like it's totally different than the cartoon, just in terms of tone.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that they did put the Horde in there, though. It makes the She-Ra better, more exciting.
It certainly makes for I do believe, I will stand by this. I think the She-Ra storylines get real interesting.
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're
good writing.
They're really good.
Yeah.
It's just that as a kid, I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
I was already 12 when that came out, so I was just like already on my way
You're
out
like-
of cartoons at the time. Yeah.
I get it. Alpinflick says, I was just thinking today, the way I play, I pose my figures with He-Man on the losing side. Guess I'm pro Skeletor, especially the Horde. That's how I play today.
There you go.
I get it. I love villains. Ace is frustrated. Where are my fellow interdimensional Demon Skeletor fans at?
Right here.
I think we're all here. Oz
Surprise.
included, I think.
Yeah, 5 for 5. Yeah.
5 for 5.
Definitely.
Hordak killing his own minions seemed so evil back then. Yeah,
Yeah, 2000X. Yeah.
That's cool.
And that minion was cool. The
Yeah.
Calyx guy, he was freaking awesome.
Yeah, Nolan, I mean, Joe's saying here 2000X Horde was really cool. I agree. I actually, that's great that you're bringing that up, Joe, because I guess it was a continuing discussion in the chat, but I've been thinking about rewatching the 2000X cartoon, but
Do it.
I've rewatched the first like 10 episodes like 20 times, but I haven't gone beyond that for some reason. I feel like I need to skip ahead, but not go too far, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I watch it every couple of years.
The
stuff.
absolute the Council of Evil Part 1 and Part 2 and The Last Stand to me were like the most amazing things I've ever seen animated wise for He-Man.
Yeah.
I did not know going into those what I was getting into, and then by the time you get to the end of the last the Last Stand, or sorry, Council of Evil, when you get to that part where Adam's in the divide of where the chasm at Grayskull and Orca's trying to help him out, and it's just like, holy crap, man, this is like some amazing, and then like for him to come out of the chasm and everybody is waiting for him and they're about to actually rip down the drawbridge of Grayskull. I'm like, I remember jumping out of my seat the first time I saw that, going, this is how I did it when I was a kid. They literally were looking at what I did when I was a kid, because I always wanted the stakes to be so high by the time He-Man finally had to like do something that big, that it had to be like all or nothing by the end of my playtime with it as a kid. So
that's I'm gonna start that tonight when I'm laying in bed. It's all on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I got the DVDs. Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, I've been trying to do them through YouTube, like the Mattel channel, but they're not. It's difficult to get the right order.
Yeah,
the way they uploaded them.
That's horrible.
So I'll try it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thanos Copter says my shelf canon is a bit like Battle World from Secret Wars, with each shelf kind of like its own territory representation of the Lions world. That's awesome. Yeah. When you got shelves, that's what you can do, man. You can explore all the veins of this universe. Triclops was always like a sword man who could keep up with He-Man on a sword, kind of like Blade in the movie. Well, I feel like Blade was supposed to be Triclops, but yes, I saw Triclops as like a spy swordsman, swordsman.
It's cool about him. You can see everything. I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Ace, it makes the story too dark for me and ruins all the innuendo. I love to project onto them. Okay, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of innuendo. I mean, in filmation alone.
Yeah.
Okay, Ace is responding to Oz. I love Skeletor just Kool-Aid Manning his way into Eternia. I love that. Just Kool-Aid Manning his way in. That's like that is a great hashtag. Sean, are you already typing a hashtag?
I need someone to like put the face of Skeletor on the Kool-Aid jug.
Kool-Aid
like the purple
Manning.
purple Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the purple Kool-Aid.
That was always my favorite as a kid. Jeez.
The purple grape stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the grape Kool-Aid or
Yeah,
the fruit punch one. I think if I remember right.
I wasn't too much of a fan of the cherry stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was always grape, or watermelon flavors. I always like.
Ooh, dang!
Like gum, gum or whatever.
Yeah,
Hubba
grape
Bubba.
gum, grape Bubba, grape Hubba Bubba, or grape Big League Chew. Oh my god,
Big League Chew is a good thing.
Oh, I loved it.
Yep.
Thanos Copter. I would like to see Infinita make its way into some form of the canon. Yeah, for sure. Elf Inflict, I was psyched to finally get Fangor and Strongor in classics. I always loved them for their episodes in Filmation. Crazy how Fangor got left in the past in Preternia in that episode. Okay, so I got to go back and watch all that stuff. It's been a long time. Thanos, I've actually already grown to appreciate Adam, especially 2000X and Revelations. I think I agree, Thanos, that Adam's character evolved quite a bit in the Mike Young productions and in Revelation.
I've always liked Adam character.
Yeah. Scott Knightlick said he tried to do his classics line as somewhat of a continuation of MYP Motu as the line progressed. Yeah, I could see that for sure, Eric.
That's what they had access to at the beginning because they didn't have any kind of Filmation rights when they started. So that's kind of what they could draw from.
Yeah.
Ooh, that makes sense actually. Joe's saying a redemption story where He-Man cures Skeletor so Adam and Kildor can team up against Hordak. That sounds kind of rad. That would be fun. And what happens if, I'm just going to throw this out there, what happens if He-Man sacrifices the power to cure Skeletor and then they are just two normal characters and then they don't have the power any longer and they have to, and suddenly the Horde shows up and they have to figure out a way to battle against the Horde without magic
It's
or
called
sorcery.
The Last Jedi.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
Well, I like what you're thinking there, but the only problem I can think of is we already had enough outrage over people complaining He-Man wasn't in Revelation Part 1 enough that I don't want
that's true
anymore.
Yeah. The outrage would be unfathomable. Cringer able this cobweb. Good point. Cringer able to hide his identity is way crazier than Adam. Absolutely, no one ever questions that. Thank you,
but Cringer is smaller. He grows bigger as Battle Cat.
Not in the Filmation cartoon.
Yeah,
hardly.
Like,
he goes like this. He goes like this.
Well, he's bigger.
It's a little bit bigger. I guess Adam. It's Adam gets a little tanner, maybe. Yeah,
the Battle Cat's got a deeper, growlier voice. He's tougher. Yeah, he's not scared.
Snarkier sense of humor.
Yeah.
That is the one thing, Filmation wise. If they could have done the whole Adam looking younger and smaller, and they like that, I think would have helped me as a kid to watch it at least and go, oh, I get it. But when you already start out looking like you can punch a mountain and the mountain's gonna move, then it's a little hard, you know. To all of a sudden he's tan and that's it, you know. He's mostly naked and tan, and all of a sudden, bam! I got this. But
I think it's because of the production. I think it's just the production. It's easier for them to keep it. No, I get that, but it's also maybe they think the kids are dumb that they might not recognize. You know,
see, that's the part. Like, I was offended for me as a kid watching it as a kid because of that. Because I'm like, I don't know. When 2000X hit and they had Adam be a kid and he's 16 and all that, and he looks like he's at least physically he's athletic. At least he's not like a. I mean, hell, his biceps were bigger than my whole body back in those days and all that stuff, but. I did like that they made it look like he is a kid, and then when he becomes He-Man, he's like a force to be reckoned with, and that was way more palatable to me than he's just wearing clothes and now he's not wearing clothes or whatever.
It's like Superman too. I mean, Clark Kent takes his glasses off and does the Danny Zuko with the hair, and then he's Superman.
Yeah,
true. Well, so like I can.
Oh,
now
who's
I'm
that?
the superhero.
Oh my god!
It's me.
No, but like
if
Skelly
where'd
I go?
always gotta go back to the whole thing in Superman. There's that moment where Christopher Reeve, he's doing the Clark stuff, and then he's about to tell Lois who he is, and he stands up straight, and he has that tone that he has.
Yeah.
It's like I buy that. It's an acting choice, and all that, and it's like I get the argument both ways, but there is this like, but if you're good about how you do that, you could fool somebody because you are not being yourself in that moment anyway. So when you show your true self, people will be like, "Oh, that's been you the whole time," So
there's always that suspension of disbelief, like
that too.
If you're I forget, if you're Kim Basinger in Batman '89 and you're dating this guy, and then you see Batman and you see Michael Keaton's lips in the Batman mask. I mean, how are you not gonna recognize something that you have a crush on?
The man slept upside down. I mean,
she saw him sleeping upside down. All right,
still to this day, it's like that's how you.
I kind of want to do that. Like the older I get, the more my back hurts. The more I want to get that contraption and just hang upside down and stretch it all out.
That's one of those things where it's like you aren't making it till morning. All the blood's gonna rush to the wrong place, and you're gonna die before you wake up.
If I got one of those, I'd probably be stuck like that. I couldn't get out.
All right, I skipped over one of Ace's comments because I realized they were out of order. So Ace is saying, I enjoyed Revelations, but I kind of look at it as a separate thing because I can't reconcile how cruel they made Skeletor. And then the second part of that was it's a well-written story with good motivations and backstory for all the characters, but it's very different from how I like viewing the characters and how they interact with one another over time. I can see that for sure. If you're used to this certain type of rendition of a character, it's hard to accept a different version. It was hard for me to accept Henry Cavill as Superman. Christopher Reeve is my favorite Superman, and it was hard for me to accept Henry Cavill, though he's pretty good.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but I've been really wanting to.
Which one?
The Witcher.
Oh yeah,
Witcher.
He is good.
Oh, Witcher is good.
Yeah. It looks good. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Eternian Royalty, Sir Clifton saying my headcanon was mostly them in a wrestling federation because I'd used all my action figures, Motu, Voltron, World Wrestling Federation, Transformers, TMNT, and have them wrestle each other. I love that. Mash it up.
Yeah, I used to, with Voltron, I used to use like my Rancor as one of the row beasts and stuff like that.
Yes.
In the Wampa, I used to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, my old Rancor that I had as a kid, he would hold my my web store or whatever and throw them across the room. Yeah. As a kid, I kind of always imagined Eternia, Third Earth, Sagar, Cybertron, and all those planets existed in the same galaxy and could visit each other. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. The thing I liked about Kildor is that it gives him legitimate claims to the throne. Good point, Thanos. Good point. It makes sense then why he would be yearning for that. Although I do want to say he's power hungry anyways. Like
that's what I was going to say. He just wants to go up there, just have anarchy and chaos and just take it. It's just because he wants it.
Anarchy.
The way they did that in the CGI show was really well done. I will say that. And they did a better job to me than 2000X. If 2000X would have just stuck to Skeletor's the demon kind of deal, that probably would have been a lot more enticing to me. But I was still happy with it, like 95% of 2000X. So
now I have to go back and rewatch the CGI first season, but it was like Skeletor was harnessing a chaos energy, right? Isn't that what it was?
He was harnessing havoc. The havoc energy, yeah.
And it was, and the Havoc energy is a kind of like anarchy or chaos in itself, right?
Yeah, basically it was like Grayskull. Eternia ran on. There's the power of Grayskull, so that's the good power, and then the Havoc is the bad power. And there is a scene in the show where Keldor actually kidnaps young Adam, and he's there trying to get the sorceress to give him the power. And so, it's like the whole, he's got him there kidnapped. He's willing to even kill his own nephew just so he gets the power. And she gives him the choice. Here's the power sword, and here's this like a staff. Mm-hmm. And he looks at the sword and he's like, well, a sword is just like a weapon for a soldier. And who commands a soldier? A king. So the scepter's the right choice. He touches the scepter, and the power of Havoc just like starts burning his body.
That's right.
And it's the whole you've chosen poorly, but then he loses his mind because the Havoc energy's there, and he uses that to empower his own people then. And that's how we get Beast Man and Trapjaw and all that.
That's right.
And I really dug that because it showed the power hungriness that he had in that version.
Mm-hmm.
He is Kool-Aid Man. Yeah. And then Battle Ram Blog. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Kool-Aid Man would be an amazing villain.
I hope Oz is okay.
Me too.
He said his stomach was. He said his stomach was bothering him.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll be okay. Just have to take care of business.
That's right.
Yeah,
gotta take care of business. Let's see. Well, the chat is talking to themselves, so let's see. Yeah, no, I'm not sure what they're talking about there, but I love this because we can, Masters allows us to, here's something interesting. I mean, not all storylines have such fluctuating canons, right? That are actually canon. Like there are multiple storylines that are actually, you can say, look in this issue of the DC Comics, look at this issue of the mini comics, look at this episode of Filmation, look at this Mike Young Productions. They're actually legitimate canons that slightly stray from one another. I know there's like fan fiction for Star Wars, and there's been like updates to the storyline, but not like these distinct storylines that are separate from one another. Nobody's remade Star Wars 4, 5, and 6 and claimed that Han Solo was the descendant of Darth Vader or the uncle of Luke Skywalker. No one's ever done that before for a lot of these those two. I mean, I know it's happened in comic books with like Superman, perhaps, I think, and maybe even with Wolverine. Are there multiple origin stories to Wolverine? Anyways, it's fascinating. Like, is Masters the only IP that is deviated from its, or has created these legitimate canons that are so separate from one another?
It's one of the most messy, I think. A lot of like comics, if they want to do a different backstory, it'll be like a multiverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the excuse given. With Masters, it's just we weren't keeping a close rein on the comic book writers, and they did their own thing.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of love that about Masters, right? It's free reign.
Because you got all those Ladybird books, and then you got the Golden books. All that stuff's different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, fans of Masters of the Universe, what do we have to complain about if somebody puts a new spin on something?
Nothing really.
Not a lot, really, right? Because that's like almost the way it's been from the very beginning.
Yep.
It's one of the few that has been that way. And I mean, that was what was so magical about it when I was a kid. You had the mini comics, you had the box art, and you had these figures, and it was just, hey, run with it. What do you come up with? And then and that's why, like, there is that part of me when Filmation hit, I was like, I feel like I'm adapting this to be my play the way that it plays out. But the other part of me felt like, well, now that other stuff is not what I want, but it was always there. I still want that too. I want that darkness. I want that apocalyptic vibe still.
We'll have it. You know what? I have faith in this IP. I have faith in Masters of the Universe that all versions that we want to see, we will get to see. You know, if the CGI cartoon can exist at the same time Revelation can exist, if Mike Young Productions can exist, if the mini comics can exist, all these things can live in the same universe that we live in. I know we're going to see it eventually. I mean, Forge of Destiny, even though it's like it's a prequel to Revolution, I think, or is it a prequel to the whole thing? I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet, but
it's kind of a prequel to Revelation because they're dealing with a lot of the trust issues Teela could have if she finds out that He-Man or Adam have been lying to her.
And you and Matt had talked about that a little bit on Legends.
Yeah, we did our last episode yesterday. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting, and I feel like we're lucky as fans of Masters of the Universe to have all these options available to us.
Yeah.
That's why we have so many varying toy lines too. I think, you know, it's like so. Oh, we haven't even mentioned New Adventures. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that was the ultimate reboot.
I mean, it's like, I guess, you know, Ghostbusters was rebooted in 2016 with all lady Ghostbusters, but there's still some nods to the original movie when you see Harold Ramis's statue there in the college, the university or whatever. But I mean, it's okay, right? I mean, it's exciting to get creative with this stuff.
Well, I mean, it doesn't ruin your childhood. Anybody that wants to start blasting that stuff to me, it's it doesn't do that. The movies are still there. The stuff that you loved is still there. They're trying something different. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's the end of the day.
You know, not to give away a little bit of what Mark and I talk about in the next episode of Cambridge and with Sean coming out soon, but we did talk about the conflict of the Lucas conflict, which is like, you know, him actually taking away the original versions of the movie. And that does suck. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, I guess he kind of, as the artist, he has the right to do that, but I disagree with that decision 100%.
Right.
He has the right to do it, but I disagree. But the other thing is too, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm a toy collector. If I really, really wanted a vintage tongue lasher, I just have to go on eBay and start looking it up and get it. And so then I was thinking about all the people that put out the original versions of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi on DVD, and then that gets canceled and taken away. And then I think about the VHS copies. We can get those versions or Laserdisc or whatever. It's just it stinks and it hurts when it's actually taken away from the cultural mainstream and it becomes a thing, an antique you have to search for. That does suck. But it's that's me piggybacking off of what Sean said, but to go back to what Sean said, the reality is no matter what, this stuff never goes away. It'll always be there, and no George Lucas or no Mattel are ever going to take away your childhood. It'll always be your childhood. The only, you know, and as long as we're alive, right? As long as we're alive, no one can take that away from us. And thank goodness for that. I appreciate the past and being able to remember the past and appreciate what canon I came up with, like sitting there in the dirt and playing with whatever. So what's coming up for you guys? What's anything around the corner?
Tomorrow night on Off-World, and so will Joe in the chat.
Oh yeah.
So and we're going to be talking. Honestly, I don't even know what we're talking about tomorrow. I just show up and then
That's awesome.
Unless they start going into Clone Wars and I just zone out for like 2 hours, like I did because that's not my thing at all. I don't have much of an opinion on that. But yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow night around 9. Because if we don't, Curtis gets angry, and we don't want Curtis angry. And the new Legends of Grayskull. The Dooch and I recorded yesterday, so that shit, if it isn't up already, it should be up in at least the next day or two, I guess, on podcast players everywhere.
Fantastic. Have you talked about Krull yet on Off-World?
No, and to be completely honest, that's one that I never ever saw.
Man!
So I should
go watch it.
But
Go
watch it. Do on Off-World we have a segment called Have You Ever, and that has been hit or miss because I know in the last week we managed to make Jesse actually leave the show for about 10 to 15 minutes because he got really upset with us, and there's good reasons why he was upset, but we do that, and I'm actually thinking maybe I will throw in something I've never seen. So then I have to experience it along with everybody else instead of recommending something that I love, because then that could be a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Krull's good.
Krull is great. Oh my gosh. Maybe we'll save that for a future discussion.
Yeah, we could do that.
That weapon scared the hell out of me as a kid because I'm like, how the hell do you catch that thing without losing your entire hand? Like, what the heck?
I wanted that. I wanted it so bad. I made my own out of cardboard, cardboard and packing tape or duct tape or something. I mean, just like it's one of the coolest weapons ever. Yeah, it's super cheesy, so bad it is good. It's I love it. I love that movie.
Yep.
Adam, how about you?
I've got an article about Bionatops and Turbodactyl coming up. So look for those. And then later in December, how do I tease this? There'll be there'll be a mention of my blog on some major outlet.
Oh,
we'll say that.
Nice.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Speaking of blogs being or something being mentioned on a major outlet, did you all see Matt Smith, who was our guest? He was on Pixel Dan's channel.
Yeah. That was awesome.
And he finally got to show off the Eternia pieces that he hinted at here on our show.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see Matt talking to Dan about his obsession. And I can't when Sean was talking about He-Man a little while ago when we were talking about canon, and now He-Man is just not. He-Man, I kept thinking that He-Man is not a handsome guy. He is not like Superman, right? That's what Sean was going with that. He is not like Superman. And Matt Smith from True Legacy Design, when he was on here, was talking about that too. How He-Man's face the vintage version of his face is such a special sculpt, and it's nearly impossible to replicate unless you just replicate it. And so seeing that large version of the He-Man face at 240% or 260%?
240, I believe you said.
240? Yeah. I mean, come on. That's how you achieve the otherwise unachievable, is you just make it bigger, or you just put it on don't try and reinvent the wheel. Right. But yeah. Anyways, that was cool.
Yep.
Adam, that reminded me of that.
Yeah. It was great. It was great to see, because you could get a sense of the scale. At first, if you just look at the displays, people were posting the pictures. Like you can't tell how big it is until like somebody puts their hand near it or picks it up or something. And then you get
or Dan holding the the battle ram missile that's this big. He's like holding it like this. So cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, I knew you would appreciate that. Bobby, what's coming up for you?
Part 7 tomorrow will be airing for my Decker Northcutt Case Files episode. It's a good one. Like I say for all of them, but it has a lot of information in this episode. It's going to move everything a little bit more forward. It's got some cool stuff, and I finished part 8 as well today, and that'll air next week. I won't be on next week's episode for Toy Frenzy, so I'll just plug that now.
Next week, are we taking a break? Is that what I heard in the chat? Or what are we doing?
We haven't decided yet because Skelly's going on a road trip to Sean and Oz's neck of the woods. I'm going for work. We could potentially do something, but I don't know how that would. Really don't know yet how that might work. But I'm okay with taking a break. Something will be coming this way on the Skelevator channel because of that trip. I just don't know what yet. It's trying to figure that out. But yeah, so it might be a version of Toy Frenzy. It might be something completely different. But I do want to take this moment to say that the next episode of Toy Frenzy, not next week, not this coming Thursday, but the following Thursday, we're going to try something a little different, and we're going to do an episode, the first episode of The Frenzy, and we're going to be talking about a subject that doesn't necessarily have to be associated with toys, but so something like Krull could potentially be discussed in the future, so stay tuned for that. And I'm excited. Oz was working on a version of the logo that includes a "the" instead of the word "toy." So I'm excited to see how that'll look. But yeah, Bobby, that was a good. Bobby shared that idea with us in the chat, and we were like, "Yeah, that'll be cool." And to see, we can sort of expand our horizons a little bit. Toy Frenzy will never go away, but we will try. We will try out every once in a while. The Frenzy, yes, Ace, The Frenzy. Like the movie. So there's that. I got a new episode of Cambridge and with Sean coming out soon here. Mark is currently editing that, and boy, we got in deep with Star Wars in this one. Star Wars returns for us quite often in Cambridge and with Sean, but he and I go pretty deep in this next episode. There's also going to be some familiar territory being re-entered on the Skelevator channel quite soon.
Ooh.
That's my cryptic, exciting news. So if there's something on this channel that you like, there might be more of that headed your way soon. So that should be a hint. But yeah, I think that's it. Oz, we miss you. I left Oz. I could have taken Oz's little icon down, but we're keeping it up here. Solidarity. Oh no, it's gone. Did he take it down?
I didn't touch it. Yeah, maybe he did, or maybe it automatically does if you're not on it for so long.
That's so sad that just as I was talking about it, that happened. And it's not here it's not down in the area below the screen either. So yeah. But for those of you that tuned in tonight, thank you so much for being here. Everybody in the chat, all of our patrons, we appreciate every single one of you. It has been, for me, speaking for myself only, the last 3 weeks have been completely insane in my world. Like not bad, but just like really busy, and work is my job has become a lot more complicated recently. So apologies if I haven't been as present in social media and on the Skelevator channel. But appreciate every single one of you for being here. You're all amazing, and the fact that you all keep coming back. There are 21 of you watching right now. That just blows my mind every week. Be sure to hit like and subscribe and tell your friends about Toy Frenzy on the Skelevator channel, and keep an eye out for the next the upcoming Frenzy, that we're going to try out. What do you all think about that idea in the chat? Let us know. Make a comment below. Any final words before we go to sleep?
Oh yeah.
Good night there.
We go have some crepes.
Yeah, some crepes.
Awesome. Oh,
Good night there, pancakes.